Happy 2024 coaster lovers! So as we approach the feature season for the theme park industry, it comes along with some new coasters. Some of them are just coasters that look like a GP made a coaster and Planet Coaster, to small family coasters. So today we're going to count down the top 10 new for 2024 coasters. So let's just jump right into the list and begin with some honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is going to the family boomerangs. These are good gravy at Holiday World and Snoopy's soapbox racers at Kings Island. We've seen these open at parks in Europe, but these are going to be the first ones to open in America. Good Gravy has a custom layout, but Snoopy's has a clone layout. The family boomerang concept is a marvel, and these rides look like a fun time. The next honorable mention is kind of a shocker. It is Top Thrill 2 at Cedar Point. Why I put this as an honorable mention is because this is basically a refurb on Top Thrill Dragster, and this coaster is impossible to decide if it's a new credit. They're adding a spike, but you could do a rollback on Dragster if you're lucky, but I don't want to get in the rabbit hole. The next coaster is Falcon's Flight coming to Six Flags Coukay. This coaster just looks so surreal. This is the first ever EXA coaster, and pretty much the only one, so they skipped the 500-foot mark and went for 600 feet. That is just unbelievable. Like, look at this thing. It goes on top of a quarry wall, very reminiscent of Fiesta Texas. And this ride isn't airtime focused, and that's fine because this thing focuses on speed, and this ride charges through the layout at the speed of light. The trains, though, are amazing. The reason why this is an honorable mention is because I feel like this coaster will get delayed. So that is why it's an honorable mention. So let's start off the list with Phoenix Rising, a B&M family invert. This is coming to my home park, Busch Gardens, Tampa, and this ride will be unique. There is one to be rumored to be going to its sister park in Dragonfire Plotland, but it's a rumor, so it's not 100% true. But back to Phoenix Rising, this has an interesting layout with a lot of low banking turns with an overbank and a helix. I am very intrigued that Busch Gardens added this coaster. They already have a B&M invert with Montu, so this is the literal definition of a baby Montu. A ride that is also family oriented is Bobcat. This is coming to the Great Escape near Lake George in Queensbury, and this is a near clone of another family gravity group coaster, Timber at Walibi Road Alps. And speaking of that park, we're going to talk about that park later. But anyways, this is just 52 feet shorter than Timber, but this ride has a jam-packed layout with a lot of bunny hills and lateral fill turns. This is also using the amazing pre-cut track that Gravity Group engineered, and I've done the Beast with the pre-cut track, and it's butter smooth, so it should be same for the Bobcat. Great Escape's last coaster was back in 2005 with Frankie's Mine Train, so this is a well-needed addition. At the number 8 spot, this is a first-of-its-kind family coaster. It is Penguin Trek. This will be located at SeaWorld Orlando. In my opinion, SeaWorld doesn't need this. It does serve a purpose for being a family coaster and a stepping stone coaster, but I feel like a Gerstlauer family coaster like Fire Chaser would work amazingly here at SeaWorld. You have 2 LSM launches. The layout isn't too exciting, but the theme is. You have a dark gray section at the beginning of the coaster, and it looks pretty good from the concept art. Don't take this for granted, but maybe, just maybe, I will get to experience this coaster this year. I don't live too far from Orlando, so I could do a little trip to SeaWorld. But anyways, and speaking of prototypes, the next coaster on the list is another one of its kind. It's the Ultra Surf. This will be the first ever Intamin Ultra Surf, and this is going to Six Flags over Georgia right outside of Atlanta. The name has still yet to be determined at the time of this recording. This is basically a mock Power Splash beats an Intamin Surf Rider, and you got the Ultra Surf. You got the track and train from the Surf Rider, but you have the layout and water effects in the splashdown of the Power Splash, and this coaster looks pretty good. Because it didn't have much in terms of water rides, it didn't have a launch nor a spinning coaster. And remember, it's a prototype, so it will break down a bit. A ride that is also a prototype, but in this type of way, is Circuit Breaker. There might be a chance that this coaster may not get built, but I have hope. This is at the newly opened Coda Lane in Texas, the first ever new generation Vekoma tilt coaster. The other one they ever built is the GP Magnet, Gravity Max at Discovery World in Taiwan. And this looks like a fun coaster. The tilt aspects on these tilt coasters are so iconic, and Circuit Breaker looks like a GP Magnet too. The layout is pretty solid. The rollover camelback is weird, but it should give good airtime and laterals. The 3 inversions are a mix of floaty and snappy inversions. The downwards inline twist and the normal inline twist are pretty furious, but the drawn out elements should deliver great hang time. The airtime should be pretty good too, with the bunny hops in the middle of the coaster. Along with this and Palindrome, which, spoiler alert, did not make this list, this park has become a destination. Circuit Breaker looks like a delightful experience. So let's go international for our next coaster. This is Mahuka, an Intamin hot racer. This is coming to Walibi Road Alps in France near Lyon, and this is the second ever Intamin hot racer. The first one being Big Dipper down under at Luna Park City in Australia. I've heard that ride is pretty shaky, but the lap bars are more comfortable than the RMC single rail, but that's a prototype. Mahuka is not. The thing that these two coasters have in common is two tire-driven launches. With Big Dipper, it's one right after the other, but on Mahuka, you hit the launch and then you go through a little bit of the layout, then you hit your second launch. Big Dipper only has one inversion, but Mahuka has three. And let's pause for a moment. If you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to subscribe to the channel, it helps out. But back to the video, the theming that Wallaby Road Alps does is great, and Mahuka's concept art looks stunning. Like going through the roll will be incredible, it gives me Tutatis vibes. This coaster looks amazing. And speaking of theming, the next coaster's theming is top tier. It is Iron Menace, a B&M dive. Just barely missing the top 3, this will be opening up at Dorney Park. Same as Bobcat, this park's last coaster opened up in 2005 with Hydra, and they received a hand-me-down with Stinger. And that coaster didn't even last for that long, just 5 years, so it's about time. The layout is a short one, but what it has is a good array of elements. You have 4 different inversions, particularly with the incline loop, that's a first on a dive coaster. The 3 other inversions are generic with the Immelman, Zero G Roll, and Corkscrew, but this was a coaster so long overdue. This also must have some good theming. Cedar Fair has been beefing up their theming as of recently. Like with Copperhead, Yukon Striker, and Orion, it should be great. Coming in at number 3 is the first in this continent. It is Flash Vertical Velocity. Not to be confused with the Intamin Impulses at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom in Great America, this will be a new gen Vekoma coming to America. It's going to be a super boomerang model. The only one that exists right now is Cloud Shuttle at Phantom World Wonderland in China, and this ride looks great. You have 4 inversions while going forwards and backwards with a few LSM launches. We've seen new Vekomas open up in America, but they are family coasters. Seeing their thrill coasters going to America is surreal. Another new model of coaster is placed at the number 2 spot. It is Voltron. This will be the first ever striker coaster by Mack Rides, aka the bigger version of the Big Dipper, and this will be at Europa Park, so of course it's going to have incredible theming. The ride is basically one of Nikola Tesla's experiments by sending electricity from point A to point B, and you're that electricity while maneuvering 7 inversions while going 56 miles per hour, and actually in the middle of the coaster you hit a turntable which immediately sends you backwards into a spike. The layout for Voltron is amazing. You also have a top hat with many airtime hills. Voltron may be the best coaster at this park. Between this and Woden, that's going to be an amazing 1-2 punch. And the topic of Mack Rides, that will lead us to the number 1 spot, which is not much of a surprise to some people. It is of course, Hyperia. This will be a Mack Hyper, and this will be going to a park that deserves a new coaster, Thorpe Park. Their last coaster was the Swarm in 2012, so it's about time for a new coaster. Hyperia looks so good. You have a thrilling vertical drop while it twists 180 degrees. It should deliver amazing airtime and laterals. The reverse dive loop should give great air, along with the huge Outer Bank turn. It is very reminiscent of the Outer Bank Hill on Steel Vengeance. The color scheme though is top notch as well. The reason why I didn't put this in the video in the card above is because we didn't know what the color scheme was back then. And what's up with golden coasters in the UK? Drain Manor is getting a golden family coaster. But anyways, this coaster looks fantastic, and it easily tops the list of the top 10 new for 2023 roller coasters. So if you enjoyed this video, it would help out if you gave this video a like, and you could post your thoughts down in the comments below. And always, make sure to keep that adrenaline pumping, and thanks for watching.